Hi everyone, welcome to the first episode of Matt's Workshop. I'm going to do a few videos over the coming months telling you a bit more about me and the models I fly. My name's Matt. Some of you will have seen me at the side of the railway line or at a flying field, either flying various radio control models, drones, filmings, trains, that sort of thing. A number of people over the last few months, especially as we've been under lockdown, have asked me a bit more about my models and some of the things that go into them to make a model fly. The model here is called a you-know-what. It's made by a company called Foss, and it comes in kit form. I didn't build this model. I bought it from a member of the Model Aeroplane Club that I belong to, and it came in ready built. The model's been built to a very, very high standard indeed. It's got a 62-inch wingspan, and it's powered by a 4-channel radio control system. The channels cover throttle, aileron, elevator, and rudder. It's got an OS engine in it. I think it's an OS 25. I'll bring the camera down and I'll tell you a bit more about the model itself. Okay, down the front here we have the engine, the two-stroke internal combustion engine. It's an OS. Up in the top we've got the glow plug, which is very much like the glow plug you get in a diesel engine in your road-going car. You've got the carburetor. The fuel comes out the fuel tank, which is located under here, into the carburetor, gets burnt in the engine, then all the fumes come out of the exhaust, very much like the exhaust on your car. Moving on, we've got the electronics compartment. We've got 3 servos. This servo controls the throttle, this one controls the rudder, and this one controls the elevator. Rudder makes the back end of the model turn left, or the front of the model turn left and right. Elevator is up and down. Throttle, speed up or slow down. We've got the on-off switch there. Buried down in here, we've got the radio receiver. That's like the brain of the model, which when I put controls from the transmitter, that little receiver processes them and tells the servos to move in each different direction. Some of the more experienced modelers watching this will notice that that's a Redcon receiver. I probably wouldn't use a receiver like this in a model of this size, but for demonstration purposes and running the model up on the ground, it's absolutely fine. Finally, down here, where is it gone? That's where the aileron servos on the wings plug into. That tilts the model left to right, so when I'm up in the sky and I'm turning, that's what I use to control it. And down in there's a small battery which also powers the model. Just take the cover off. In here we've got the fuel tank. It's got foam on either side of it, and it's sitting on some foam as well. That's to stop it vibrating when the engine's running, as these engines do vibrate quite a bit. That's a relatively small tank, but will still give me about 15 minutes worth of flying time. This particular model has been built to a very, very high standard indeed. As I said earlier on, I bought it second-hand off of a club member, and it was second-hand when he bought it as well. I believe it was assembled by a guy who was a commercial airline pilot during the day, and he used to use this model to training pilots on at weekends when he was down the field flying. So, up front we've got what looks like an OS 25 engine. The OS engines are made in Japan and they're imported into England by a company called Ripmax. They're very, very good quality engines. They've been around for a long, long time indeed. 25-side engine is around about 3 3/4 cc, and it runs on methanol, which is an alcohol-based fuel with some nitromethane in it. As I said earlier on, the model was absolutely filthy when I brought it down from the top of the garage this morning. It had been sitting up there for nearly 2 years. I bought the model off of a club member. And then about 2 weeks after that, I moved house, and the model had been sitting here ever since. I've just got it done this morning, giving it a good clean up, and it's not showing that much signs of hanger rash. I gave it a good clean up with a substance called Muck Off, which is honest, that is what it's called. It's called Muck Off. I usually use it for cleaning mountain bikes, but it's a good model aeroplane cleaner as well. It's pretty environment friendly as well, and it's water based. We'll take the model outside, we'll give the thing a start up. Bearing in mind that engine hasn't been started up for, the engine hasn't been started up for about 2 years. We'll see if it goes, and then if we will start, and after it's finished running, we'll bring it back in and have another talk about it. I'll put the wing on it. Here's one I prepared earlier. That's the wing. It's secured on there with some elastic bands. We'll get everything up and running. Good tick over as well. Not started up in over 2 years and it went first go. Yes! So, as we saw outside, and it's really, really windy here today, the engine's running perfectly. This is the transmitter I use. It's called a Spectrum DX9. It's got 9 different channels on it, and you can use this for controlling drones, planes, helicopters. I've even used it for radio-controlled car racing. No, it's not ideal for car racing. It's got various different switches, and it can be programmed in numerous different ways for this. It's ideal for the you-know-what. So, the engine's running. If theoretically, the model's almost ready to fly. With the IC engine in it, it makes an awful lot of noise indeed, and a number of fields in the local area only permit powered flying at certain times due to the noise that it kicks off. The next phase of this project will be to convert it to run on electric. The recommended motor for one of these aeroplanes is an AXI 28-2010, but as far as I'm aware, that particular motor isn't in production anymore. So I've got a number of different Formax motors, which I'll talk through with you in a minute. It can be powered by a 3,300 milliamp per hour LiPo, running an 11x5 prop. That's not an 11x5 prop on there at the moment. It's something a lot smaller. With this one here. This is an 11x5 prop. If I fit it on there, we've got I've got loads of ground clearance on there. Many, many years ago, I had a guy bring a model to me which hadn't been run before. He was new to the hobby. And I said the engine's going to be very, very tight the first time we started. I eventually got it running in the shed then, turned around, and this guy was at the back of the shed after running the engine for 2 minutes. He was sitting like that with his fingers in the ears. It was a really, really funny thing to watch. Haven't seen that happen before. A few years later, he bought a model to me saying it wouldn't start, and it turned out that the carburetor hadn't been set correctly. I've now drained the tank down, cleaned the model up, and it's sitting back on the shelf ready to go. In future videos, in the next video, I'll start taking the model to bits. I'll remove the fuel tank, I'll start removing the throttle linkages, I'll start removing the undercarriage, and start measuring up to get the engine mount fitted. Hope you've enjoyed watching this first video, and I'll see you again in a few days' time for episode 2 for the rebuild. Ta-da!